Hey folks, welcome to a podcast about Catholic things. This is Eric, the Ambassador of Common Sense, and I'm here with...
Dan, the Ambassador of Nonsense. Welcome, everyone.
Okay, so, big argument on Saturday, I think, about working on Sundays, and I thought it would make a good...
with our sister?
Yeah. I thought it would make... This would be a good way for me to lay out my argument in a way where she can't argue
Keep
with
interrupting.
me. All she can hear is she can hear me talk, and that's it.
That's right.
As if she's going to listen to our podcast.
If you can get her to listen. Okay, wait a minute. You know, though, let's not give the wrong impression. It may sound like our sister is some kind of lost heathen that we're trying to... It's not that at all.
No, we're just joking around. But we like to argue, which actually...
it's kind of a family thing.
Yeah, this brings me to a point that I've been wanting to make for a while. And there's a couple things here that we don't do that most podcasters do. For example, almost every podcast you listen to, they say, okay, if you like our show, please subscribe. Please hit the like button. Please share it. And things like that. And I've never done that.
Do we have a like button?
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, because...
Does our podcast show up on like the list and stuff where there would be a like button to hit?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can get on YouTube or on, I guess the most common is Apple Podcasts. Or
Apple Podcasts or
Google
right?
and Amazon Podcasts, you can get it too. And a couple of the other ones. I don't remember them all. But
all that goes without saying.
Well, yeah. But for some reason, every podcaster says it. And
I wonder if it makes a difference to say it.
I have no idea. I'm not going to say it, though. Like,
all right.
Think of all the viral videos you can ever think of. Not one of them tells people to subscribe or like. I mean, they just, Star Wars kid, going back to that. It just happened.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as this podcast goes, we had mentioned before that we did this because there weren't a whole lot of people like us doing podcasts. Most of Catholic podcasts, the host is Catholic by trade. It's like they get paid to be Catholic and talk about it.
Oh, right.
But we're just two guys who happen to be Catholic going through our normal life. But the other thing is, you've got all the stuff you do in your life, and you have to provide for your family, and then you go to church, and you do this and that. Part of that really should be, in some way, shape, or form, evangelization and sharing the faith. And I'm very bad at doing that face-to-face. And I figure this is one way we could do it. Might not reach a whole lot of people, but maybe it will. But...
yeah.
The time that I have to put into evangelizing, this is what I'm doing with it. And if we ever found something that worked better, I don't know how better would be measured, but if we found something that would seem to have a better result than this podcast, I would immediately change and do that instead. But right now, this is the time I have, so this is what we're doing with it because I'm able to do it, and I'm able to do some things that not everybody's able to do. So that's why we're doing the podcast, and that doesn't necessarily include me trying to promote the podcast and get everybody talking about it and things like that. That's another reason we don't say, please subscribe, please like this video, please share it with your friends, because... if it were good enough to do that, then you'd already be doing it. I wouldn't have to tell you to do it. I always thought that was kind of silly. Another reason we're doing this, another reason I wanted to do this is because several years ago when I first started listening to podcasts, Jason pointed me to a couple different Catholic podcasts, and it's actually none of the ones that we listen to nowadays. But back then, I listened to them and I thought, that's okay. But I think there's probably more information and more inspiration in the conversations that we have every Saturday night. than what's in this podcast. So I
That's
thought,
a good point. I never thought of that.
Why not just take our Saturday night discussions when it pertains to religion and record it? And that's really why I wanted you and Jason to do it with me, because that's what I kind of modeled it after.
Yeah, and that's actually been a lot of our podcasts.
Yeah, it's just things that we would talk about anyway. If we were camping, these are the kinds of things we might go in a little bit more depth and do a little bit more research, things like that. But that's what it is.
For the podcast. Right.
So that's why I don't say, please like this podcast. But if you like it, you may as
you
well.
already do. Yeah. If you like it, you might as well like it.
Don't dislike it. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about...
You're going to have to cut out a minute because I got to blow my nose. Hold on.
Okay. See, I tap on the microphone so
Sorry.
I know.
Okay.
This is where you hit that silent button.
Well, I didn't hit the silent button. You're just going to have to cut out my nose blowing.
Yeah, that's what I do. But
okay.
I look at when I'm editing, I'm looking at the sound, and I see a little spike where I tap the microphone, and I see that I have to go listen to that part and find out what needs to be cut out.
I see. Okay. All right.
So we're doing work on Sundays.
Work on Sunday.
Not what you're supposed
Third
to
commandment.
be doing.
That's right.
You know, before we go into the work, it was at one time everybody had to go to church on Sundays. And when I hear, not tradies, but traditional Catholics talk about the Saturday Mass obligation, or Sunday's Mass obligation being taken care of on Saturday.
By a Saturday, yeah.
They say things like that was only supposed to be in cases where you could not make it on Sunday. So I tried to look for that, and that's not anywhere that I can find.
I'm not sure that you're going to find it because if you look at, and this is in the old Divine Office, not just the new one.
Yeah.
If you look at the cycle of prayers of the Divine Office, normally you've got you've got like matins, which is kind of like starts at midnight or whatever. And I mean, when priests and stuff did this in the old days, and maybe many of them still do, they like literally got up out of bed at midnight, did these prayers, went back to bed for a few hours, and then got up and did lauds, and then they had some of the minor hours. And then there was Vespers, which was the evening prayer that everybody would go to. You've heard of people being called to Vespers. A lot of times the churches would ring the bells for Vespers and people would come in. And then there was night prayer compline, and then it started over again. Well, if you look in the cycle, it's that way all the time, except on the eve of, first of all, every Saturday, and all of the a certain class of holy days, certain class of feasts. In the modern parlance, we would call them solemnities, but in the older church, they would be like first class feasts, and they had a different way of naming them. But on the day before those, instead of saying the Vespers for that particular day, in fact, that when you look in the Divine Office, you won't see any Saturday Vespers. Instead, what you see is a Sunday first Vespers, and then on the day of Sunday, a Sunday second Vespers. And even though they didn't do this in the old church, the liturgical norms didn't allow for this, it's actually that in the new calendar that allows for us to anticipate a Sunday Mass on Saturday or on any holy day that we're required. It's actually that idea that the day actually starts with the first Vespers on the day before, the evening of the day before. That's the basis for that.
Okay.
And so the idea is that at the point in the day when you would liturgically, right when you would liturgically first be permitted to say that first Vespers, that's when you're also allowed to have the anticipatory Mass for the Sunday or Holy Day following.
Okay. question.
So I don't think it ever was supposed to be just if you can't. I think it was just supposed to be a more generous extension of the possible timelines for fulfilling the obligation.
Okay. What is more important at that when it can start being Sunday Mass instead of Saturday Mass? Is it the time or is it the readings that make it so?
I am almost positive that the anticipatory Mass, here's the thing, before it's time to make an anticipatory Mass,
yeah,
you would not be allowed to have a Mass with those Sunday readings. Okay?
Okay.
Now, the question, I know where you're going with, because what you're going to is, okay, but what if you've got a Saturday night wedding?
Yeah.
And it's a Mass? Now, when I got married, we decided we're not going to put people in this quandary, and some people, probably everybody cursed us for not, because,
yeah, I did.
They wouldn't have called it a quandary. We had our wedding Mass in the morning.
Yeah.
So you still had to go on Sunday. Anyway, I don't know the answer to that. Have you looked it up?
Yeah, and I have spent hours and hours and hours looking for it.
Yeah.
And I see different things pointing to different things, but nothing very definitive. I think Pope
Nothing
Pius
like official or something like that.
Pope Pius X, I think it was the one who said that the earliest time you could do that, start that Sunday with that Mass, is at 4:00.
Okay. Okay.
But I don't.
That was way pre-Vatican II.
I mean, even on the from Catholic Answers and some of the big names out there, I couldn't.
Yeah. Can't find a solid answer. That
I
says
looked
this
this
is the
up.
rule for which Mass.
Yeah, I looked it up back when our friends were getting married, and I had to go to Saturday weddings. I haven't had any reason to look that up in over 15 years, so maybe there's a real simple. The question just now popped in my head, and so that's why I asked it. But back when I was trying to find an answer, looking all over through the internet, I couldn't really find anything definitive. And I finally
That's interesting.
I think I didn't go to Mass.
Well, you did go to Mass, but you went to
I went to the Saturday wedding, and they did not have the Sunday's readings. And the next day, I don't know. I didn't feel like going that day, and I'm looking high and low to find an excuse not to go. And I thought I had maybe found it, so I stayed home. Nowadays, I'd probably just go to the Latin Mass anyway, because I don't.
Yeah, you miss it if you don't.
Yeah. But okay. Well, what we really want to talk about is working on Sunday.
Yeah, everybody knows you got to go to Mass on Sunday, but what about this whole not working thing, this day of rest kind of thing? And what does it mean? How serious is it?
And there's a lot of side questions on that, because, I mean, the language that's used are things like, other than what's necessary, and it's like, well, it's necessary that I have a job and feed my family, and my job requires me to work on Sunday, so it's necessary.
Right.
And that's not really the safest answer. And then...
Yeah, the catechism, let me read the actual wording. It says, on Sundays and other holy days of obligation. The Catechism of the Catholic Church at Vatican.va.
Okay.
On Sundays and other holy days of obligation, the faithful are to refrain from engaging in work or activities that hinder the worship owed to God, the joy proper to the Lord's day, the performance of the works of mercy, and the appropriate relaxation of mind and body. Family needs or important social service can legitimately excuse from the obligation of Sunday rest. The faithful should see to it that legitimate excuses do not lead to habits prejudicial to religion, family life, and health. I mean, you want to talk about weasel words built into a command.
Yeah. Because, well, I guess we'll get to it in a minute, because during the argument last week, it was also brought up, well, two things. Number one, are we talking about a mortal sin or a venial sin? And number two, what about shopping?
Yeah, is that work? Is it one of those things that depends on what you enjoy? I mean, I once complained, Dad used to always go up to camp.
Yeah.
I mean, he still does when he can, but when he, was completely physically robust and active and everything, the amount of work he did out at camp. I mean,
my goodness.
Half an acre, he'd get these crappy lawnmowers and mow the grass, and then we'd get the weed whips out and clear the trail back to the river. And
not weed eaters.
And then
weed whips.
Weed whips. The things that you have to swing by hand. They back and forth. Yeah, it's a stick with a big blade on the end, and you swing it back and forth to. I guess some people these days might not even know what those are.
Yeah, I don't think he even knows what rest means. Rest means he's not making money. That's what rest is.
And he always had a
him.
project he had going on out there besides.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
let's build a log cabin.
I complained to Mom about it. I said, "Well, Mom, Dad, we're supposed to rest on Sunday, and Dad goes out and camp. He does all this." She said, "Yeah, but that's relaxing for him."
Well, it's not relaxing for the rest of us.
I know, but that's the thing. That introduces the question: Does that mean that whatever you find relaxing is the definition of rest?
Right. Yeah. Is it that subjective? One of the questions I ask myself is, because I'll fold laundry on Sundays, and I actually enjoy doing it because it kind of gives me the excuse to sit in front of the TV and not do anything else.
Yeah,
I
know what you mean.
I'm folding.
I use laundry for that purpose too. Yeah,
but I kind of do enjoy yard work, and especially when it's not burning hot out, and so. But then I start thinking, okay, do I enjoy the work itself, or do I enjoy being done with the work and looking at what I've done? And those are two different things.
Yeah, they are. Because the stopping and looking, if that's what you enjoy, you should have done the work on Saturday, not Sunday. Because that's what God did. He created the world and rested on the seventh day.
Right. So sometimes I start saying, well, what if I didn't need to do this yard work? Would I do it for my neighbor, just for the joy of doing it, instead of for myself?
If it wasn't you,
what if I don't get
satisfied?
anything out of it? Would I still do it?
Good question. That's a good take on it. A way to kind of probe the reality, what's really going on in your heart.
Yeah, because I don't know. I think the work in question at the time was painting a room, and it's like, well, I personally do not enjoy painting rooms. So I would never do that on a Sunday.
Yeah.
But the person I was talking to, Jason, says he likes to paint on, he enjoys painting.
Painting rooms?
Yeah. So he had a room that needed to be painted. And
he said, that's a nice, relaxing task. I'll do that on Sunday. A restful task.
But okay, there's that, and then there's like, you would think something like going to the park, and having a grill out and going on a hike, maybe, whatever. The kids playing.
The grill out part is work for me.
Is it?
I enjoy it, but it's work for me.
That part's not so much work as getting the kids all dressed and getting them out the door, putting up with them fighting the whole way there. All of that.
All right. If you want to put that in it, going to Mass is not restful.
Yeah, you're right. It's not at all.
Because of getting the kids. If I didn't have to get kids ready ever, now, of course, I'm past that part of my life where that's an issue. But
so am I.
If I had not had to get kids ready, yeah, it would be fun going to Mass. But going to Mass is work because you've got kids that you got to get ready.
Yeah. But it is work that has to be done. And it is part of the family need, first of all. Second of all, it is also charity, because you want your kids to rest, and you want them to see people resting and how they should rest. And so you take them, hey, no, we're not going we're not going to go to a baseball game today. You shouldn't be playing baseball on Sundays. Instead, we're going to the park, and there's not going to be a competition. We're just going to enjoy ourselves. I think a lot of people... See, I'm not into sports, so I guess it's easy for me to say this. But a lot of people have taken whatever sport their kids are playing and said, that's my relax time. So I got to take little Jimmy to baseball practice or a baseball game. They redefine that as relaxing because it's something that they feel like they have to do. I personally wouldn't do it. I would never take a kid to a game on a Sunday. But the other thing is... Go ahead.
I guess I don't... Here's the thing. I don't get that. I don't get watching, taking my kid to a game on a Sunday. I would not ever find that to be relaxing. It would be a hassle.
Yeah.
But what's weird is that I can't say the same thing about going to a ball game, a pro ball game.
Yeah.
The Reds or something.
Yeah.
I would find that relaxing. At least once I was past the crowd and into the stadium and everything. But it's kind of weird.
Well, that goes to our next subject.
Okay.
Because down in paragraph 2186, those Christians who have the leisure should be mindful of their brethren who have the same needs and the same rights, yet can't rest from work because of poverty and misery. In other words, the guys who can't afford to take Sundays off, you're now putting the burden on them.
Especially if your leisure involves them working for you.
Right. So going to the ball game and getting a Coke and then taking a cab home, that's all...
Look at how many people you've relied on them not being able to have a day of leisure.
Right. And the restaurants, the shopping centers, all of those people had to work because you wanted your whatever it is you wanted. You couldn't do it on Saturday. You decided to do it on Sunday. I don't know. I'm more and more mindful of that every week, and I try to get...
That's true. And there's a line of argument one could make that says, well, we just live in a society where it's, let's say, minority conscientious Christian, and therefore people are going to want to go out, and therefore the owners of restaurants are simply going to assign people to Sundays who don't mind working on Sundays anyway, so it's no problem to go ahead and take advantage of that and enjoy the leisure that those, of using the services of those workers.
Yeah.
But then there's another line of argument that says, well, if Christians were doing what they should do to make Sunday a true day of rest, it would depress the benefit of opening those establishments on Sundays, and perhaps more employers would simply give their workers the day off anyway.
Yeah.
And then they could enjoy that leisure.
There are a lot of Christians in America still. And if all the Christians suddenly said, you know what, we're not going to a restaurant on a Sunday, a lot of restaurants would probably close on Sundays.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be worth it to be open.
And let's face it, restaurants can be very successful and still be closed on Sundays.
Yeah.
As can retail stores.
Yeah.
Two examples, look at Chick-fil-A and Hobby Lobby.
Yeah. Remember Swallens? Swallens was always closed on Sunday.
Yeah, they went out of business. Well, you know what?
They did go out of business.
Shortly before they went out of business, they stopped being closed on Sundays.
That's right. They started opening on Sundays right before they went out of business.
Nobody who hears this podcast will know what the heck we're talking about. I think it was just a Cincinnati
Was that a local
area
company?
Store, wasn't it? Let me hold on. I'm going to Google Swallens. It was like a department store, wasn't it?
Kind of. I guess
Swallens.
Think of smaller version of Walmart.
Entry. It's a Wikipedia entry. Chain of retail stores based in Cincinnati, Ohio. Filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in 1995, and all the stores were closed by the end of that year.
Okay.
It says it's based in Cincinnati. It doesn't say whether it extended beyond that general area. I have a feeling it did not.
Okay. Well, Swallens was a pretty big deal. It was a big store in Cincinnati, and it was before the day of Walmart. So if you wanted something that you might think of Walmart for, you would think of Swallens.
Yeah.
If you were in Cincinnati back then.
We would have thought of Swallens.
But if it was Sunday, you wouldn't go there.
they had the Swallens, the sporting gear section. They had, obvious the automotive. They had their electronics,
music,
music,
yeah, everything.
So
and then one day suddenly, I guess they just started open on Sundays, and it was only like a year or two after that they went out of business. I think it was. I'm trying to remember. Let's see, 95. It said they filed for bankruptcy. I think it was a little bit. It might have been like 5 or 7 years before they filed for bankruptcy that they started open. I remember Dad telling me once, and I know that I was like still in school, kind of, Well, when I was 18, it had
closed?
to have been after 18 because I went there to buy something to go hunting on a Sunday, and I think
closed?
Like slugs or something. And I'm sitting there waiting and waiting for it to be 10 o'clock. I'm thinking, what is taking it? And then all of a sudden I realized it's Sunday. They're not even open.
It's 10:30.
And
well, but you know what? Okay, so that's funny because, let's see, when did you turn 18?
A long time ago.
I know, but
I can't tell you I can't do the math that quick. I can't even tell you how old I am right now.
But here's the thing. Even before Swallens closed, Swallens Sporting Goods closed. In other words, they dropped their sporting goods department. So a few years before they closed completely.
Did they?
Which I don't get why they would do that. You'd think that would be one of the biggest things. Well, folks, we lost the ambassador of common sense. I'm going to try to get him back here for you.
Hold on, folks. Looks like I lost Danny. You there?
Yeah.
Hold on. You there?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what's going on. My phone is not charging very well.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah, if you can get the charger connected and just lay it on a table or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I picked it up to check Swallens, and then all of a sudden I lost everything. So.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
so anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, I guess the point is that it's not impossible to close on Sunday.
Yeah.
Companies have done it.
Two stores that are known for being closed on Sunday are very successful, within their specific areas.
I did not know Chick-fil-A was closed on Sunday. I wonder if that's why Jason always goes there.
Could be.
Well,
anyway.
So, okay. The next question is whether or not it's a grave sin. And the problem is...
Is it a grave matter?
It is a grave matter.
It is a grave matter, but is that one of those that the gravity is like a sliding scale kind of a thing? I mean, like there's a lot of sins, like you steal something. Okay, well, the act is a sin. Before you stole it, you didn't sin. You stole it, now you've sinned. And maybe depending on the size and value of it, before you stole it, you didn't sin. Now that you've stole it, you've committed a mortal sin. But how does that work with work on Sundays? That's kind of one of those things. It's like if you want to become pharisaical about it, it's like, well, okay, 50 steps, you've entered venial sin territory. When you get to 75, it's mortal sin territory, or something like that.
It would be nice if it was that quantifiable, but it's not.
No, it's even worse than that. It's like it's one of those that you really have to search your heart. Are you making the day the Lord's day? Are you blessing it within your cadence of life?
Yeah. Well, you read from the Catechism, but listen to what the Catechism on the Council Listen to what the Catechism of the Council of Trent says.
Yeah. Okay.
But those who altogether neglect its fulfillment resist God and His Church. They heed not God's command and are enemies of Him and His holy laws, of which the easiness of the command itself is proof. We should, it is true, be prepared to undergo the severest labor for the sake of God. But in this commandment, He imposes on us no labor. He only commands us to rest and disengage ourselves from worldly cares on those days which are to be kept holy. To refuse obedience to this commandment is therefore proof of extreme boldness, and the punishments with which this infraction has been visited by God, as we learn from the book of Numbers, and then goes on about the book of Numbers. But pretty strong words.
Yeah.
I mean,
very different than the wording in the modern catechism.
Not something to be considered like telling white lies or something like that, at least. It's something we should be taking seriously. And it's not something to be, if I can get my stars to align, I'll make Sunday a day of rest, but otherwise it's a catch-up day. And that's, I think, what a lot of people do is they make it a catch-up day. Yeah.
And that's clearly wrong. You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
Even if you fall behind in your work, you have the obligation specifically to rest to make that day holy.
Yeah. You disengage yourself from worldly cares. It's God's day.
Think of this. You have the obligation to go to Mass. You have to go to Mass. When you're at Mass, you have to be engaged in Mass. It's a holy time. You've got to be focused with your attention on the mysteries of the Eucharist that you're participating in. You would never say, I've got so much, I'm going to have to use this hour while I'm sitting in church to, catch up on some of my accounting or some homework.
Sit there, balance your checkbook like while you're in the pew.
Well, exactly. You would never think of doing that. It would just, it would cause you to think that you were committing, some horrible blasphemy against the Mass to do that. Yeah. That's how you should think of working on Sundays.
And it shouldn't really be that hard.
No, that's true. It's like, hey, I have to rest. Now, that's it does say in the modern catechism that there's a long, and this is true, Christian tradition of using some of the time of that rest to then perform works of charity for the poor, especially. Right. In addition to the works, the prayer for works of piety and so forth. Right.
Especially, cases like, I don't know, Dad needs some plumbing done, and number one, it's a reason for me to go visit him, which maybe doesn't happen real often, and number two, I can help him get his plumbing done. Things like that. Yeah. Seem like a good way to go.
Especially, he can't really afford a plumber.
Right.
At this point, so.
But things like that that's in
true.
General seem
that
like...
might fall under that. Yeah.
How far have we gone? About a half hour. I don't have a whole lot more to add.
Okay, well, I've got a couple things to add.
Okay.
To sort of... Well, there's one thing that we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that, and then I'll add this other stuff. It's some people, once in a while, question the seriousness, from a Christian point of view, of the Sunday rest obligation when the Christians don't even follow the original Sabbath.
Well,
because that's actually on the Saturday, and the Sunday follows it.
Right.
And I don't know if you did any research into the theology behind. I mean, the historical process was just that was the day the Lord rose. They had that became the day they blessed, and within the first century, basically Christian worship transferred in terms of the obligation of a holy day from the Sabbath to the Sunday. But there's actually some theology behind that, because in the original Sabbath was based on the idea that God created the world in 6 days, and then on the seventh day he rested.
Yeah.
But when Christ came, and we see this in the book of Revelation especially, but we also see it throughout the Old Testament preparing for the coming of Christ, the old order of the world was done away with, and a new order of the world was brought about. In Revelation, we have the old Jerusalem, which is the whore of Babylon, and the new Jerusalem coming down from, heaven, which is the Catholic Church. Right. In that new order, it's on the day of his resurrection that Christ came into his rest. And so not only is it the first day, because it's the day of the first new creation after the end of the rest from the old creation, but it's also the true day of rest that God's calling us all to, which is the resurrection of Christ, because he calls us all into that resurrection in which we're going to rest in him in heaven. And so it's truly the day of rest of the Lord, according to the new order. Right.
In the old order, we had the Trinity without bodies creating this universe and then, quote, resting on the last day. In the new order, Christ actually has a body, which rests on the first day.
It's kind of interesting because he fulfilled the physical rest requirement of the Sabbath because he died on the cross on late Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
And then remained dead in the tomb, resting throughout Saturday, and then early Sunday morning, he rose. So his physical body fulfilled the requirement of the law under the old order, and then entered into his true rest in his resurrected state, in his
the
glory,
glorified,
in his glorified body on Sunday. Under the new order. So, and of course, it's not like, the apostles probably had some understanding of this. It's kind of funny when I read commentaries on the writings of Paul and even, the few letters we have of Peter and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, the apostles, they wrote from a position of knowledge that even today we're like still scratching the surface of. Because they learned at the feet of Jesus, and they were given directly the inspiration as not just as carriers of the deposit of faith, but as providers of the deposit of faith. Revelation was through the apostles under the Holy Spirit. So they probably understood all of this, but they didn't necessarily write down everything that they knew. They couldn't.
They even said that.
What's that?
They even said that.
Oh, yeah, John even said that. Yeah, at the end of the gospel. So the church herself, after the apostles, developed into a little bit of this theology, understanding the Sunday as the true day of rest under the new order, and so on and so forth. But it's nonetheless clear that within 2 generations, the holy day of the Lord had completely transferred from the Sabbath to Sunday.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
Now, there was
now and then I would get arguments from Seventh-day Adventists and Messianic Jews, a couple other ones. I'm kind of surprised that they don't see the importance of the resurrection in comparison to the seventh day of creation. And they just keep saying, well, it says rest on the seventh day. Well, it says this. It says the Sabbath.
I know.
I don't know what to say.
They don't get that. Okay, yes, that was the old order, and you see in Revelation that the old order is done away with.
Right.
You've got to accept the new order. And in fact, we see in what is it, Paul to the Galatians, he's talking about, I think that's the one when he's talking about that he withstood Peter to the face because Peter...
Yeah, Peter wouldn't
just for the sake... Well, I think the specific thing might have been that, that he wouldn't eat, certain thing, non-kosher foods or whatever, but the point Paul was making was that Peter knew that he was no longer bound by the old Mosaic law. He was bound to the new, Christian fulfillment of the law. It was it's not like the Mosaic law is now bad or that it became, it's not like, oh, we thought that was right, but now we learned it's not. No, it was right up until Christ came and fulfilled it, and now the new law is Christ. Well, Peter knew this, but because he was, people speculate as to why. Was it because he was personally embarrassed about what other Jews would think of him? Was it because he felt like he might be giving scandal to other Jews and he didn't want to do that? Who knows what it really was, but he was making himself beholden to the old laws that he was supposed to, put off when he put on Christ. And Paul makes a pretty big deal about that in the letter.
Yeah, and he brings it up in several cases. I mean, he brings that up several times, usually going back to circumcision.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
Fact
There was that.
This old law is not, and Paul's the one who was killing for the old law. Who was
That's right.
And
that's right.
It's
he was
like
persecuting the Christians.
He seemed to understand more than anyone that these old laws are dead. And
you know, the circumcision thing, that is really significant because that goes all the way back to Abraham. That was the sign of entry into the covenant. And now, and right in the Bible, it has it recorded that the apostles met and they decided, no, you do not need to be circumcised to enter into the covenant of the new order under Christ.
I wonder, do Seventh-day Adventists believe in circumcision?
I don't know.
Why would they pay attention to the Sabbath
to the others
law and not that one?
I bet they do. Here we go. Google knew what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
It says, every SDA church in Africa and likely the rest of the world should be promoting male infant circumcision as an Adventist health message as much as... okay.
So it's not...
I guess it must be a question among them. It's not just a given like it is for Jews.
They still argue about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. But I wanted to bring back around the seriousness of this idea of consecrating a day to God and making it a day of rest. A lot of people think of it as, oh yeah, that's the third commandment. And it is. But here's what a lot of people probably don't know this. So, you know, in the Bible it says in Genesis that, you know, after God having created the world, he rested on the seventh day. That's, you know, everybody knows that. Mm-hmm. You really don't hear anything more about that. You don't see it in the Bible when he's talking to Abraham. You don't see it as he's talking to, Israel or any of the people as they came into Egypt or anything. Where it shows up again, the first time that it shows up again is in Exodus. They've gotten out of Egypt. They have not yet received the Ten Commandments. And this is Exodus 16. It's right around the time when God's going to give them manna from heaven. And he says, then the Lord said to Moses, and this is Exodus 16, 4. The Lord said to Moses, behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a day's portion every day, that I may test them whether they will walk in my law or not. Now it's okay, gather bread. It's the only thing we have to eat. What's that got to do with the law? But then he says, on the sixth day, when they prepare what they bring in, it will be twice as much as they gather daily. So he's saying, you get twice as much, don't go out on the seventh day.
And this is before he defines this as a commandment.
This is before the commandments. And then it says later, it's talking about, okay, the manna came, the people gathered. On the sixth day, they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers apiece. I guess an omer is a measure of some kind. And when all the leaders of the congregation came and told Moses, he said to them, this is what the Lord has commanded. Tomorrow is a day of solemn rest, a holy Sabbath to the Lord. Bake what you will bake and boil what you will boil, and all that is left over lay by to be kept till the morning. So they laid it by to the morning as Moses bade them, and it did not become foul. Earlier, they tried to hold some of the manna over for a second day, and it developed worms and became foul.
Yeah.
So this time they held it over for the second day, and it did not become foul. And Moses said, eat it today, for today is a Sabbath to the Lord. Today you will not find it in the field. 6 days you shall gather it, but on the seventh day, which is a Sabbath, there will be none. On the seventh day, some of the people went out to look for some. And, of course, that made God angry. It's like people immediately do what God tells Moses Moses told them. God said, don't do this. It's like when you read Exodus and Numbers, or Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers, it's like amazing how, like, stiff-necked everybody. It's like they just completely ignore what God says. But I think that's part of the point.
After that big ordeal with the Egypt and the slavery and then the freedom and then the desert, and they still just can't just do what the heck he says.
Yeah. Well, and and Moses keeps having, God says, you know what, these people are not even listening to me. I'm just going to wipe him out. And Moses keeps having to plead, God, no, don't do that. And of course, God's just testing Moses, of course, and strengthening him. But anyway, the point is this. The very first commandment God gave, we think of the 10 commandments and you think of them in order. The first commandment that he gave to Moses on Mount Sinai was the commandment, I am the Lord thy God, thou shalt not have false gods, no idols, and so on and so forth. But interestingly, as a actual covenant commandment, the first one that he actually gave was the Sabbath, the day of rest. Don't go out and gather on the Sabbath. He did that before he did any of the other commandments. And it was actually some days, some months, I think, before he gave them the commandments. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to bring up is numbers, probably the same numbers that they referred to in the Catechism from Trent that you were reading. And if you look at Numbers 15, and this kind of tells you how serious this is. Now, the people have the commandments. They received them back in Exodus. But it happens, they say, while the sons of Israel were in the wilderness, they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. All he was doing, gathering sticks for a fire or something. And those who found him gathering sticks brought him to Moses and Aaron and to all the congregation. They put him in custody because it had not been made plain what should be done to him. And the Lord said to Moses, the man shall be put to death. All the congregation shall stone him with stones outside the camp. So that was it.
Wow. That's a big one.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's harsh.
And well, but the thing, it's kind of funny that it says they didn't know what the punishment would be. But even after he gave the 10 commandments, Moses came down, find everybody, with the golden calf, and then God had to make new tablets of stone. And then after that, Moses assembled the congregations, and he says, these are the things, and it's talking about all the lists of the tasks that they have, because he gave them a lot of tasks that they all have to fulfill. These are the things which the Lord has commanded you to do. 6 days shall work be done, but on the 7th day you shall have a holy Sabbath of solemn rest to the Lord. Whoever does any work on it shall be put to death. You shall kindle no fire in your habitations on the Sabbath day. Now, I don't know, you shall kindle no fire. I don't know whether that means, for example, that you can't even have a fire, or whether it means you're supposed to keep the fire burning overnight from Saturday, from the day before, the Friday, the 6th day, and already have sticks laid up in your tent so you can just add them to the fire without doing any work. Well, I don't know. But
starting
a
the
point
fire
is,
back then would have been a little bit more.
It was a big
than
deal.
It
was. That's what I'm thinking. So kindling a fire is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But the point is, right there, he said the penalty is death, and then the people kind of didn't. It's like they didn't want to believe it. Like, well, the penalty is death, but are we really going to stone this guy just for gathering sticks? So they bound him and brought him to Moses and Aaron, and Moses said, okay, God, what do we do? And God said, put him to death.
I already told you what to do.
So, yeah. So if anybody thinks this concept of making, our holy day, our day of obligation to the Lord, a day of true rest, and truly blessing it, and abstaining from labor as we're able and as is fitting. Even Jesus, he was accused of breaking the Sabbath, and he said some things about that.
Yeah.
But if you ever think that it's not to be taken seriously, go read some of these things. This is how God treated it.
Yeah. This is God's law. It's not like man wrote these laws, and then when Jesus came, he said, look, those were man's laws, and now I'm going to give you God's law. These laws were from God.
They're God's laws. He said God wrote them for the sake of man, but they're God's laws.
Yeah. And Jesus did rest on the Sabbath. He just healed someone. And he
healed someone, and they happened to be pulling some wheat off of some stalks to chew on or something.
Yeah. They were trying to catch him doing something, and they were using the laws of God they were trying to use them against God, and
Yeah.
it wasn't going to work.
They're trying to use God's laws against God.
That doesn't mean we can ignore the third commandment. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
all right. Anyway, that's all I've got.
Okay. Well, let's get into news then.
All right.
Some weird thing. Okay, we talked about the shootings last week.
Yeah.
Now mostly people are just saying it was a racial killing. I mean, that's what I'm hearing a lot.
The guy admitted it wasn't. The guy said it was to keep him because he was like, I don't know, addicted to sex or something like that. Okay, he was addicted to sex or something like that, and so he said he was shooting them in order to remove the temptation to his addiction or something, along those lines.
Right.
It's like if I'm an alcoholic and I go and shoot up a rum distillery. Does that mean it's just racist against Jamaicans or something?
Right.
It's that kind of a thing.
Silly.
That. Yeah.
But they want so badly this to be over race, and then
they want everything to be over race.
And then there's this mass shooting in Colorado, and I guess let's see, nine civilians and a cop are killed at a supermarket, and you read the news and it's just a shooting, and they don't talk at all about race or nationality. You have to kind of dig to find out the guy was a Arabian, I guess, and I guess he was a Muslim. This was a classic terrorist type shooting. This is ISIL. I don't know if it's ISIL, but
okay,
it's that kind of thing. At least from what I can tell, there's not a lot of details out there. People aren't talking about those details. That race has something to do with it when they don't talk about race. Now, race had nothing to do with the other one in Atlanta. Huh?
Yeah, he was... I'm reading his name. Ahmad Ali Aliwi Alisa.
Yeah, it's one of those.
That's his name. Yeah.
I mean, so, I don't... it's weird how throughout most of Trump's presidency, these things were just not happening. And now suddenly we're talking about him every week again.
I know.
You notice that? I mean...
That's true.
Why is that?
They're coming kind of fast and furious. I mean, I know you had the riots and stuff during the summer of 2020.
Yeah, but those weren't mass shootings.
That's... Yeah.
Well, they shot, maybe. But, I don't know, but... I thought this
yeah,
was
that's kind of stuff. It's like...
I thought he was going to unite us.
That's right. Biden was going to be everybody's president or something like that.
So, that stuff's going on, and I don't know. I have a feeling we're going to see more of this. Russia wants an apology from Biden after what he said last week, and Biden had referred to Putin as a soulless killer. And Russia's saying they're going to retaliate. I don't know what with, but...
Retaliate? What does that mean? Retaliate
I don't know.
for what? Name calling? You call me a name, I'll call your mother a name? What is that?
They want an apology.
Is this a schoolyard now?
Yeah. Well, they want an apology
Take it
or
back.
an explanation from Biden. And they say they're going to retaliate.
Let's see whether Biden and his administration has any backbone at this point.
Yeah.
Because there's certainly no love lost between Putin and any of us conservatives.
There's also the North Korean vice foreign minister he's refusing to talk to the U.S. until it stops its hostile policy. And I tried to find out what the hostile policy was. And it has something to do with Pyongyang. But I can't tell what. I don't know what... I think it's more name-calling. I think it's somehow someone in the U.S. referred to someone else as something, and now they're refusing to talk to us. After Trump calls... What did he call the guy in North Korea?
I don't know. He met with him. He said, hey, yeah, seems like a great guy. We got along. And then the guy came up and wasn't willing to concede some of the, things that Trump wanted. He said, well, then we're not going to negotiate further.
Yeah, and then they were, though. They did. But, no, the thing is, I mean, he called him a fat little dictator, didn't he?
Oh, did he?
Did he? Hold on. Let me look this up. Yeah, he called Kim Jong-un...
a dotard? Oh, no, he called Trump a dotard.
Yeah, because he called him an old lunatic.
An old lunatic? Okay, that's fitting.
Yeah, President Trump calls Kim Jong-un short and fat. Oh, I know. Okay, so he said, why would Kim Jong-un insult me by calling me old when I would never call him short and fat?
Oh,
that's what it
was. That's funny.
Okay, here's
That's
the thing.
Hilarious.
Trump says things like that, but out of that, somehow he pulls out peace.
Yeah.
Now, Joe Biden doesn't do anything that brazen, and yet there's all kinds of problems already. He hasn't even been president a year, and there's all kinds of problems. It's just, it shows how incompetent Washington is, and how Trump, within such a short time, pulled everything together and made things work, and now it's back to same old, and we're going to have all these stupid wars again, and oh well.
But you know, there are people who are banking on that because that's how they make their money.
Yeah, I know, and it's frustrating, and it's the kind of thing that, look, a lot of innocent people die in these things. We don't know them, we don't talk to them, we don't see them, and it's so senseless. I think it's the kind of thing that calls for vengeance from God, and that's all I know to say about that.
You know, I come up with cockamamie theories while we're in the midst of a podcast once in a while.
Yeah.
And it just now occurred to me. Okay, so I just mentioned that's how, you know, certain people make their money from wars, and we, you know, everybody knows about the whole military-industrial complex, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. What about the military informational complex? I wonder if companies like Google, Amazon, Apple, and other infrastructural informational companies who have their fingers in these various nations, good and bad, I wonder if they actually somehow make money on the ability to analyze and cell analysis, and like, if you think of the information available from one region to another in terms of like a floodgates, they can tweak and open and close the sluices and make. I wonder if there's actually some aspect of profitability for those companies as well when more countries are more hostile to one another.
I would bet that exists, and I would bet that's it's not something that was always there, though, because I think it's something that they thought,
it's a very new
hey,
thing if it's there.
We could take advantage of this stuff, because they take advantage of everything.
Yeah.
But I think they're getting too big for their britches now. I think, or at least I hope, just from the fighting that they're going to do between each other, that some of their power is going to be reined in a little bit.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yeah. So, Pope Francis has designated the Archdiocese of Quito in Ecuador as the host of the 2024 International Eucharistic Congress. I have no idea what the International Eucharistic Congress is going to do, but I don't know. A lot of people are getting really scared about losing the Latin Mass, and I would say that's a valid fear. I know that I don't see this being announced everywhere. Now, Taylor Marshall does have a lot of inside information. He knows a lot of people. And he is saying, yes, it was banned. The TLM was banned inside the Vatican, in St. Peter's Square.
Oh, really? So
yeah.
They're not nobody who wanted to would ever be allowed to say the TLM there.
The way he kind of described it, and you know what? Let me say this part first, this news item. Pope Francis issues a decree in which he cuts 10% of the cardinals' and other officials' salary in view of the fact that the Vatican's finances foresee a deficit of 50 million euros this year. So he's cutting salaries.
Salaries for cardinals.
Yeah, I don't know how much that
who
matters.
Do not have families to support. All their salary goes to either works of charity that they do or to allowing them to, make visits to
lavish lifestyles,
travel and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean,
well,
I know that there's an appropriate, level of state, that should be afforded a cardinal. But yeah, I can't think that cutting their salaries 10% is going to be that big a deal.
When you got people like McCarrick bringing in a bunch of money, and then suddenly McCarrick's gone, and then I don't know. There was a company kind of tracking some of these cardinals and archbishops, and of course they wouldn't be affected by this. This is only the cardinals, and other officials. Right. I don't know what that means. Anyway, the fact is he's losing money, and
yes,
the way Taylor Marshall described it is that you would go in St. Peter's Square, and there would be a lot of pilgrimages, and a lot of different priests are having Mass in their own little groups. And that's not going to be allowed anymore.
Oh, really?
Everybody has to have one Mass, and they have to, I can't remember what they call it, co-celebrate or something like that, where all the priests...
Con-celebrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
come together and...
Well, the thing is...
Stupid. Why would he...
That means one collection basket.
Oh, okay.
Now, that was the accusation I heard. I kind of don't know if I go for that, because they don't make that much money from a collection basket.
On those collections, yeah.
That's not how they make money.
Go on those a lot of people go on those pilgrimages, I think. Rich people do go on pilgrimages, but I think a lot of people,
don't have money with them that they put in a basket. Yeah, they spend on airplane tickets and junk like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's possible, but I know look, the COVID hurt everyone, but I think the American church kind of made out because they're getting a lot more money from the U.S. government now, and they were making a whole lot off of these immigration, off these immigrants, and then they lost that when Trump came along. That's going to be back soon. Number one.
That's right.
Number two, they're getting a bunch of money from COVID relief. I don't think they should get any money from COVID relief.
No.
I don't think they should get a
why
dime.
Would they?
They're not doing anything.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're not an essential service, then why not let them die out?
Why give them the money? Yeah. That's exactly. Let the bishops state the case that the churches need to be open and they should be considered essential and nobody should be turned away from church. Let the bishops make that case, and then we'll support them with our money in the basket.
Yeah, let them do a little work for once in their lives. Oh, well, that's not going to happen, but...
Yeah.
So I guess Tokyo's organizing committee of the Olympic and Paralympic Games announced that overseas spectators will be banned from entry to Japan to watch the 2020 Summer Olympics.
That means only Japanese spectators.
Yeah, that's kind of...
Because everybody except Japanese are overseas.
Does that include, like, family members of the athletes? And
of the competitors? I wonder. Yeah, that's a good question. Because even mainland China is overseas for Japan.
Why did I say 2020? To watch the 2020 Olympics.
You meant 2020... You meant 2024, right?
Well, that's what I would have thought, but I'm reading it. It says 2020.
It says 2020?
Vicky flagged me and said, "You said 2020." And I said, "Yeah, I did say 2020, but that's what it says." Let's look this up.
The 2020 Summer Olympics will begin on Friday, July 23rd, 2021. So you're right. This is the 2020 Olympics. It's just
because they're late.
Postponed. Yeah.
Oh, they were postponed because of COVID.
That's all it is.
All right.
Right.
So. That's gay. I don't know what to say about that. It's stupid. Yeah. I don't watch the Olympics anyway because I think they're
dumb.
gay. But, all right, I don't know. That's like having like a Super Bowl late, which I don't watch those either, but whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We're withdrawing troops from Afghanistan, and we got a May 1st deadline.
Okay.
You know, even Trump didn't take everyone out of Afghanistan. I feel like something's wrong here.
Yeah. What's going on?
I don't know. It just says U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin makes an unannounced trip to Afghanistan instead of the May 1st deadline to withdraw troops from the country. Why are we withdrawing troops from Afghanistan? And Trump wanted as many troops home as he could get home.
Yeah, but he didn't. Maybe the May 1st deadline is something that Trump had set in motion.
Could be, yeah.
And maybe this guy is making an unannounced trip, and maybe he's going to interrupt that, whatever that is.
Yeah, I guess we'll wait and see. Speaking of ISIL, 22 people killed in a series of raids on 3 villages in Niger.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Niger.
So, I don't know. And these are the suspected ISIL-linked militants.
Yep, it's coming back.
Yeah.
Just like we predicted.
Yeah,
of course,
we've got the recording.
Trying to claim credit for a prediction like that, I mean, it's so obvious.
Yeah, it sucks. Yeah. More, fires in Northern California. Over 56,000 acres burned in Northern California. They're saying this is the...
A forest?
Can't find the name of it. I think it was like Zuzu. I had the name of it, and now I can't find it.
Did you say 60,000 acres?
Zog. This is Zulu. It's called the Zog Fire. Zogg.
Zog fire? Why?
Yeah.
Is that the name of a certain kind of fire?
No, that's usually, they name these after where they start. Like, I think anywhere from like a neighborhood to an actual street name sometimes. But a great pine tree fell on power lines, and that's what started the fire. So for the past 4 years, what has Trump been saying? These wildfires are caused by bad forest management.
Forest management, yeah.
You got a pine tree next to a power line, you cut it down.
Bad man. Look how in Indiana, I drive through places, Hoosier National Forest, for example. Power lines go through there. They cut a wide swath of trees out.
Yeah.
That can't happen.
And they don't have problems.
Yeah.
Indiana doesn't burn down every year.
We never burn down.
Jeez. I think I only got one more here.
We did have that fire down in, that's not Indiana, that's Tennessee. Where was...
Yeah, that was Tennessee.
Gatlinburg. They had the Gatlinburg fire.
And that was a huge deal because it doesn't happen very often there.
It doesn't happen, yeah.
I mean,
and then you guys saw that fire in Daniel Boone.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what.
Force, right?
Yeah, we did see that, and it was pretty impressive what we saw. But those fires,
like
although they happen kind of often, they don't burn the entire forest down because of forest management.
Yeah.
They section out parts of the land, number one, by logging, and number two, they burn brush. They get rid of it.
Oh, yeah, they have brush fires that they allow to...
So Virginia just became the 23rd state to abolish the death penalty. I'm kind of surprised it took them that long.
Virginia.
I mean, that's kind of a weird state because if you go to Virginia and you talk to the people there, you see a lot of down-home people. You see a lot of Republicans. But it's run by Democrats because of Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Isn't that where Governor Northam
was?
The governor who was saying that, if a baby survives an abortion, we'll go ahead and we'll make him comfortable while the mom decides whether to kill him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But
they'll abolish the death penalty. We won't kill hardened criminals.
Yeah. You got a lot of good people in Virginia, but it's being run by people like that.
But it's good people ruled by a bad state.
Yeah. I think it's a really terrible situation there. I think the plight of Virginia is a lot worse than, say, the plight of Illinois or California.
Yeah.
Because the people in Illinois and California, they know who's ruling them, and they understand it, and most of them like it. But I shouldn't say most of them like it. It's been that way for a while. They could have moved out a long time ago. But in Virginia, it's like a lot of these people are tied to the land. You know, they don't want to move.
Right.
And if you've ever gone through Virginia, you can understand why. That's a beautiful country.
Yeah, that's some really neat.
I
really neat land out
sincerely
there.
wish I could move there, either there or West Virginia. It's just fantastic country. That's all the news I got.
All right. Well, I got a couple things. Let's see. Oh, top of the list of nonsense news is this proclamation from President Biden ordering flags to be flown at half-staff for the prostitutes that were killed in Atlanta.
For the prostitutes that were killed in Atlanta, we're gonna fly the flag at half-mast.
Now, I always thought that was supposed to be dignitaries, heads of state, that kind of stuff, of various types. I went and looked. I did a search. I've got a link at ushistory.org. It's an FAQ, and it doesn't lay out specifically or give citations so much, but I'm reading a section that says, can the governor order the U.S. flag half-staffed for anyone he or she chooses? The answer is no. Then it gives a brief description of the governor's authority and those that he can, fly the flags in his state at half-mast for. And then it says, the president, by comparison, is authorized to half-staff the U.S. flag by proclamation upon the death of principal figures of the U.S. government and the governor of a state, territory, possession, as well as in the event of the death of other officials or foreign dignitaries. So, for example, when Pope John Paul II died, we flew our flags at half-mast. I was kind of surprised to read that when Margaret Thatcher died, we did not do that. Well, that was under Obama.
Yeah.
But the point is, now I think there have actually been some laws passed since whenever this FAQ was put together that allows the president to just sort of have broad discretion, fly the flag at half-mast for whoever he wants. But the thing is, historically, when you look at what it's reserved for, flying it for prostitutes?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, come on. But this this is the Democrats. This is the party that the Americans have elected to run the country.
This is the guy who likes smelling prostitutes' hair.
Yeah, maybe they smell their hair or something.
He has smelled their hair, and he's like, I'm sure going to miss that hair.
Yeah, let's fly half-mast for that.
Biden likes Asian hair more than white hair or black hair.
That could be. All right. This one's kind of cool. A piece of the Wright brothers' first airplane is now on Mars.
Is now on Mars?
So, yeah. So NASA had the Martian helicopter, and apparently they have announced that they took a small fabric swatch from the original 1903 Wright Flyer and put it on that helicopter, so now it's on Mars. So that's like the extent, kind of represents, I guess, the extent of the development of our...
wow. That's really cool.
From the Wright brothers all the way to Mars now.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
That is neat. Here's the thing. I mean, up until a few years ago, I didn't think Mars even had an atmosphere. I mean, in school, we were told that Mars had no atmosphere.
Yes, and obviously things have developed since then in terms of our knowledge. But yeah, you can't have a helicopter without an atmosphere, guys.
But even, it's kind of amazing. I mean, okay, so they do have one, but it's very thin.
It is extremely... It's very thin. Yeah, I'm reading here.
The fact that they can make one work is incredible.
Well, it's saying that the 4-pound helicopter will attempt to rise 10 feet into the extremely thin Martian air on its first hop.
The 4
up to
what?
5
Did you say 4 pound or 4 ton?
4 pound.
Okay.
1.8 kilogram. Yeah, 4 pounds.
Okay.
A brick. Think of a brick.
Okay, I thought you said a ton at first. I was going to say I don't see that happening.
No.
They're lying to us. Is this another story from China?
This is China's helicopter. No.
Yeah.
It says up to 5 increasingly higher and longer flights are planned over the course of a month. So they're
is it
testing the air out as far as the ability to support flight like that.
Is it like sitting there and recharging or something, or why does it make a hop and then stop and then make another hop later?
Because they're all experimental. They don't know exactly how well it's going to do within the atmosphere.
Okay. Well, maybe they're measuring like the different parts of the year and stuff. Does Mars have years?
Right. So,
I mean,
I think anything with an atmosphere would have some kind of year. Oh, you know what? So the question of whether they have seasons, that would depend on the tilt of the planet. Because if it's not,
I
tilted,
thought Earth was a little bit odd that way, and that
because
most
of the tilt,
planets don't tilt. Here, let's look it up.
You know, they've got a little video.
25 degrees. Yeah, it does.
On this link. Okay. So, yeah. And it's showing these little clips of the helicopter. It's kind of the helicopter is kind of one of those the modern the
like a drone?
Yeah, well, kind of like the drone, but I'm thinking like the little things that you can buy that fly around in your house that are really hard to control, but they've got the 2 different propellers going in the opposite directions or something like that. It looks something like that. Okay. So, anyway, the Wright brothers have made it all the way to Mars with, a couple of boys from Ohio. What started out at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, has now gone all the way to Mars.
Yeah, talk about American exceptionalism.
That's right. That's right. Okay, this is just a stroke of luck. This would be so much cooler if he had said a little prayer to St. Anthony. Tennessee man lost his $1 million winning lottery ticket in a parking lot. It was a blustery afternoon. $1 million.
Is his name Earl?
He lost it. Earl? Why? Is that a reference to something?
My Name is Earl.
I don't know it. Is that a show?
You never saw that show? Okay.
No.
It's pretty raunchy, but it was kind of funny. It was funny for like 1 or 2 seasons. But, okay.
Oh, well. Anyway, Sparta resident Nick Slatton learned on March 11th he had won the lottery. $1 million. This is the Tennessee Education Lottery.
Yeah.
Went around continuing to do errands that day, and in the afternoon he realized that he didn't have the ticket anymore, and because I guess if you have an unsigned ticket, anybody can, if somebody finds it, they can cash it. Kind of like standard lotteries. They're you think of them as bearer bonds. Whoever has it gets to redeem it. So anyway, he started retracing his steps, and he found it in the auto parts store parking lot. He almost deserves to lose it for being that careless, but I'm glad he found it.
If you won the lottery, would you spend the rest of the day doing errands?
I not before going home and putting it into my safe before I can get a chance to redeem it.
Right.
It's like for $1 million, anything else
can
wait for just a minute. Yeah.
$1 million here, $1 million there.
Yeah, he took his brother out to buy a car. I don't know if he intended to pay for the car with his $1 million, and then
he should wait until he cashes the ticket.
Got
next
some
time.
lunch. Anyway, congratulations on the win.
Did I ever tell you about the ring that I found?
The ring?
The ring.
No.
The wedding ring.
Oh, okay. I was picturing a Smeagol ring.
It's a wedding ring. My wedding ring.
Your wedding ring.
Did I tell the story on this podcast?
No.
I don't want to tell it twice if I already told it.
You have not told the story to me.
Okay.
If you told it, it was when I wasn't here.
Or when we were at the gorge drinking. So, when I worked in Blue Ash at this place, I would stick my hand out the window on the highway.
Yeah.
And you know how you wave your arm up and down in the wind?
Sure, you kind of make aerodynamic. Yeah.
I did that like almost every day.
Whoop.
But, because my defrost didn't work real well, so I had to keep my window down. But, you know, when I go to work, I tap on the door, and I always use my ring finger, and I make that tap noise with my ring, and say goodbye to Vicky, who's still in bed, which I did that morning like I do every morning. When I got to work, the door was locked because I had gotten there a little bit early, and I tapped on that door because to get the guy to come let me in, and my ring was gone. So somewhere between home and work on the highway, that ring must have flown off. So, and I searched my car, I searched everything anyway, but it wasn't coming back. So, fast forward 1 year, I no longer work there. Actually, I've been laid off, so I'm on unemployment, I'm home all day. Me and Vicky are fighting nonstop, because that's what happens when both people are home all day. Let's see, I'm downstairs doing dishes. She went upstairs. I think we just had a fight. She went upstairs angry and laid down and fell asleep. And I got 2 kids. They're both downstairs playing with toys and stuff. And Vicky comes down an hour or 2 later and says, "Where'd you find it?" I said, "What are you talking about?" She says, "Was that you upstairs?" I said, "No, I'm washing dishes." She said, "Someone came into our room, a man, and put this on my finger and held up my wedding ring."
That is so weird.
Yeah. And it's, you know, little dings and stuff make it recognizable. It's definitely my wedding ring.
Wow.
I would have rather found $1 million lottery ticket, but oh well.
Yeah, because then you could buy a new wedding ring.
Yeah, I take what I can get.
All right. Well, in Michigan, you'll appreciate this because you were a pizza delivery guy for a while.
Yeah.
Well, in Michigan, a Detroit man's dinner was spoiled when the DoorDash driver who was delivering his pizza dropped the pizza out of his box onto the front porch. This was all caught on video by the he had one of those doorbell camera things. After it dropped out, the guy picked it up, slipped it back into the box, and delivered it.
He delivered it?
Yeah.
That takes guts.
I know.
You know, I would never do something like that. I worked, I delivered pizza, which means I also worked in the pizza joint making pizzas when I'm not delivering. And there was one time I'm talking to someone and, you know how sometimes you talk and a little bit of spittle comes out. And I saw it come out, and I saw it land on a pizza. You're talking about less than a drop. But nobody saw it, and it would have been fine, but I couldn't do it. I was like, all right, guys. I took it out, and I was like, he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm throwing it away. He's like, what? I said, look, I'm sorry. I don't know how to say this. I spit on it, okay? We need a new pizza. Get another pizza. I could never do that to someone.
That's funny.
Oh, well. What else we got?
All right. So, next is... Okay, so last time, we talked about Taiwan, a Taiwanese restaurant, right?
Oh, yeah. They served marijuana.
They were marijuana. Yeah, okay. Yeah, whatever. So, now, and this is a completely different kind of story, but it's Taiwan again. So I guess a sushi chain in Taiwan kicked off a promotion where if your name was like some kind of seafood, you got discounts, and if your name was salmon, you got some free sushi. Oh. So I guess this is an easier thing to do in Taiwan than it is here in the United States, but like this prompted like 150 people or something to change their name to salmon.
Wow.
And finally, officials had to ask people to please stop doing this just to get some free sushi.
Are these people poor, or is it just... Do they
don't know.
sushi that much?
I think they really, really like sushi there.
I don't understand why. Why are there groups? Why are there cultures where they decide suddenly, hey, let's not cook our food?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or let's eat other meat eaters.
Let's eat
bats
cats
or dogs.
Let's not cook
cats,
our food.
Wolves.
Yeah. You know, I was reading it actually they bring it up in Leviticus and then again in Deuteronomy. The animals that the Israelites are allowed to eat, and the clean animals, the unclean animals, and that kind of stuff. And except for pigs, which pigs are not meat eaters, but they're also considered unclean. But pretty much all the animals that the Israelites are allowed to eat are the non-meat eaters. And then among the birds, it says, well, you can eat any of the birds except, and he gives a list of birds, but the birds that they're not allowed to eat tend to be the birds of prey, like eagles and ospreys and stuff like that. So it's kind of almost like along the lines of what you're saying, that don't eat the meat eaters. And among the fish, now fish, I guess a lot of fish eat what you might call meat, but it's not land meat. But the fish that they're allowed to eat are only the ones with scales and fins. So they can't eat like eels, and they can't eat like dolphins and stuff like that.
Well, no,
or sharks, I guess, right? Because sharks, do sharks, but do they don't have scales, do they?
Yeah.
Do they? Okay, then you can eat sharks.
Yeah, they do.
So,
but
anyway,
pigs will eat meat though.
Oh, will they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they'll eat. I thought they will. You know what? This is so stupid.
I thought they eat anything. I'm
basing this off of
poop.
Which show was that? Hey, Vic, which show was that where he feeds his victims to the pigs? That Pulp Fiction show, Snatch or something like that. I think it's called Snatch.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
With the Brad Pitts and the boxer and.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That could be.
He's got these pigs, and he's talking about how he chops the bodies up, and he feeds them to the pigs, and the pigs completely make the body disappear. So, based off that, I'm assuming that pigs will eat meat. That's a dumb thing to base an assumption off of, but maybe I'm wrong. But I know that you can feed pigs a lot of... They dig in the ground sometimes for, like, grubs and stuff, so...
Oh, okay.
I think they do eat meat. I think they will eat meat.
Yeah, but bacon tastes really, really good. So
bacon is so good.
I'm not inclined to to give that one up.
And we're not forbidden to eat dogs or cats or bats, but
it
just
not
seems
anymore.
like a dumb thing to do.
Just cause, there's something I was like, why would you eat them when you've got like steak?
Yeah. Okay. We can. Basically, it's like, look, we're raising this giant leather bag of meat. Mm-hmm. Why go after dogs and cats,
Yeah, that's right.
It's just a giant, just huge thing of meat. There's no reason to eat dogs and cats. But that's what they do.
Use the dogs to help herd the cattle.
Yeah. There's so many good things that dogs can do, and if they can't do, I don't know, even if I still wouldn't eat them.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so I guess they like raw fish, so they make sushi, and
they call themselves Samson.
So a bunch of people changed their names to names that when you translate them to English, they're showing up at this restaurant, with names like Salmon Prince and Meteor Salmon King and Salmon Fried Rice.
Well,
I guess they officially changed their names to these things just to get some free sushi.
I know, but so did they have to change their name to salmon, or was it a translation of salmon?
A translation of salmon. The actual word is like guyu or something like that.
Okay, Because, see, I could change...
But,
it wouldn't be a big deal to me to change my name to Guyu or something like that. But it would be a
you don't know
big
what it
deal
means.
to change salmon.
But, yeah,
That
but
would be a
Guyu
big
means
deal.
salmon. And
Yeah.
when you change your name to King Guyu or Guyu Prince or something like that...
Yeah, that's just weird.
And the fact of changing your name just to get some free food at a restaurant.
That's a lot
That's
of
kinda
work.
weird too. That's yeah. It's like we did that story about the pizza joint a few weeks ago that was giving out, I don't know, free pizzas to people named Karen or something like that.
Yeah, oh, Karen's, yeah.
It's like going changing your name to Karen officially so you can get a free pizza.
I remember when I was in the domain name game, the business of domain names, and there were certain companies that had kind of a lot of followers and stuff. And one of the company owners said, if you guys tattoo your logo onto your arm or something, I will give you a free domain name. Remember, domain
Wow.
names cost $20. I mean,
Yeah.
and
you go out and
people
spend
were doing it.
$150 for a tattoo. I don't know what
Yeah.
tattoos cost. I've never gotten one.
People were doing it.
But
I don't.
wow.
People are
Give you
dumb.
$20 to put your logo on your arm. It's like,
Jeez.
I don't know. I guess if I had a company that I had built and spent my whole life building into a big multinational thing, and it was, my whole identity was tied up in it, maybe I might then consider getting it tattooed somewhere on my body. But
Yeah,
you know
your own
what?
logo though.
I wouldn't do it for $20 because
Right.
that would be nothing to me in that case.
Right. And you wouldn't do it for someone else's company.
No.
Like I'm not gonna tattoo Wikipedia's logo to my arm. Hell, even if I worked there, I wouldn't do that.
No.
But just to get a free domain name. Oh well. People do all kinds of dumb things.
I guess changing your name's a little bit less extreme than that, at least in Taiwan, where it must be pretty easy to change your name.
Yeah, maybe they don't have... It's not easy to get a tattoo there. It's much easier to change your name in Taiwan. They don't have as much paperwork, probably.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe it's just a matter of announcing it. It's like,
hey guys,
it's like,
my name is Joe now.
yeah,
Tomorrow it's going to
like,
be John.
It's like gender identity here in the United States nowadays.
Yeah, you could change.
Okay, yeah, I'm a female,
I identify
I'm a
as
male.
John now.
I want you to refer to me as him if you're talking in the objective case, and as she if you're talking about the subjective case.
Yeah. And I'll tell you my name tomorrow. I don't know yet.
Yeah, that's. I'm going to tell you today's name tomorrow, and you're not allowed to call me by any other name, so don't talk to me.
That's the thing. A tattoo is a commitment. It's like this is me
But
now.
you're
this is
putting
part
it
of
on
me.
you.
But
This
a
is-
name you can just whatever
Just
it is
slough it
that
off
day.
and pick up another one, like changing underwear or something.
Yeah. Okay. Where are we at?
That's it for me.
That's it? All right.
Yep.
Well, I guess think about what we said and don't work this Sunday. Instead, take it easy. Take the kids out to a park that no one has to work at.
Hey,
and
guys, in fact, don't work tomorrow. It is not a holy day of obligation at Mass, but it is a solemnity in the church, the feast of the Annunciation.
It is?
March 25th. Yes.
I didn't even know that.
So whatever you gave up for Lent, you can have it tomorrow.
Okay. I have a big job tomorrow.
All right.
Darn.
Well, you have to do that.
I'll do it
unfortunately.
solemnly.
Yeah, I'm going to be that's the other thing. Because I'm going to be working tomorrow too, and that's the other thing about this podcast is it makes me very uncomfortable because I don't live up to what we've been talking about.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So, anyway, got to work on that.
All right, folks. Well, as always,
Circle the beads.
keep praying them rosaries, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.